Hello, everyone. My name is Rafal, and I'd like to welcome everyone to my Headshot Photography podcast. Today, actually, we are again with amazing photographer Sissela Johansson. Last time we had incredible conversation, and right after we've decided we're gonna continue the conversation because felt like we just scratched the surface, and the conversation went really deep. But I felt like I don't know there's so much more we want to share and talk about it. So we've made the decision we're going to do this again. Also, I got amazing feedback from all of you guys who are watching the part number one. So let's do the part number two. So welcome back. I'm super
Thank you.
excited to have you back. Yeah, I'm looking forward to continue our conversation about photography. We've talked a little bit prior about some of those interesting things about who we are and how this is affecting what we do and how this is affecting photography and the outcome of our creative work. So why don't we start with that? Let's talk a little bit about how you feel, how your personality is affecting your images. Is it a huge part? Is it a small part? How you feel throughout some of those um, headshots, some of those sessions you've been doing. See, my head is always like around headshot photography. I just want to kind of dive deep because again, like I would love to start maybe with sharing maybe not my experiences, but I've noticed whenever I'm in the good mood, bad mood, I can see it right after how the images look like afterwards. And I want
Right.
to kind of talk a little bit about how your um mood of the day affecting you, because I also think with the creative process we just kind of navigating throughout a photo shoot, right? Like we know we go to
Right.
the shoot, we have some kind of concept or some kind of structure which direction we want to go, but what it's inside us, our feelings, our emotions, it's also kind of the driving force when it comes to creating those images. Why don't we
Right.
unpack this a little bit on your end? Especially you are amazing storyteller, and I want to dive some of your shots and some of your images. But I can really see throughout your work, there's a lot of emotions kind of like putting into those images. So let's kind of unpack how this is coming out of you.
I mean, so I think, correct me if I'm mistaken, but I think last time we spoke a little bit about like being an artistic photographer and being a business person who chooses
Yes.
photography. Like, so there's these two, and there's more. There's also medium, but if we put things like on a point, if we generalize, there's these two types of photographers, and for me, I'm definitely an artistic kind. Like I need my art artist soul to be fulfilled before my business. Like I would rather earn less money and be more happy in the work that I produce than vice versa.
Mhm.
So with that being said, of course my personality and my mood influences my work because I'm an artist. Like I consider myself an artist, and you cannot remove yourself from your art. Like you are your art. It's
Mhm.
what makes things really difficult every once in a while, because it means, well, you still have to be a fucking grown up about it, and sorry, and actually do the work and serve the clients and all these good things. So it means that you have to perform no matter what. And yes, that will come through every once in a while. But um, I try to put myself in a like second position, because it's not about me, it's about my client. So I can kind of find refuge in my client. So if I'm having a bad day, I can like, through the connection with my client, I can find purpose and drive and all these different things. But like I see periods of my, like I can see my work in periods of my life where I've been more or less happy, or vice versa. I can see how the work is definitely affected by that.
Hmm.
Ooh, oh, hi there. That's my work.
That's your work.
I
Well, and
did that.
the emotions is pouring out of those images, right? So I just want to
Yes,
bring them up to not only talk about it but also showcase that. Okay, so continue. I'm sorry, I was kind of
that's okay.
correcting.
I mean, obviously, I cannot get those emotions out alone. Like it's my client or my model have to be in a space where they allow themselves to be in that mind space, and that can be a challenge for some. But a lot of it has to do with music. It has to do with conversation, that like the conversation that we're having, and all these different things. So those things definitely influence the final outcome. But I'm very fortunate because the people who seek me out, both people who are modeling or but also my like regular clients, they know my work, and they know that they're probably going to be put on the spot a little bit. So that's also what they give me. Um, and through our conversations, discovery call, consultation, all these good things, we establish a level of connection where they feel safe with me to expose themselves, basically. And that can be very, very anxiety provoking. And then of course there's some things to be said about lighting and photography style and all these different things, and editing has a lot to do with it um as well, definitely.
Yeah. So explore this. Let's explore this a little bit more, because I think a lot of us photographers, um, as I said, we have different days, right? But
Mm.
client comes in, we have to work with them, and we have to just basically adjust ourselves not only to our mood but also to their mood. So there's like kind of dancing balance and balancing, those two kind of people who need to connect throughout the photo shoot. um and I think we don't talk much about it as a photographers, that our mood and our emotions definitely not only affecting the photo shoot but also affecting the other person, right? Because
Of
they kind of
course, we're
absorb.
human.
Yes. So let's kind of talk about those sessions where you, I don't know, remember, or where was extremely difficult. And I don't know if you have those situations or you have those clients. I deeply believe you do, because we all kind of running into those situations once in a while. And I remember for me it was always challenging that you feel you're not connecting with the person, right? You feel
Mm.
like there's a kind of wall which you try to break through, and you try to find the connection. You try to somehow get into this people's kind of world, or emotions, or create this bond, I would say. And you can't. And I
Right.
remember, well, I had those sessions where I was just like fighting, like not only the photo shoot but fighting with my emotions, try to connect, nothing works. You can see there's distance, there's this kind of like wall around this person. How you deal with those kind of situations, like how. And then I want to also talk about it from your perspective, because we always talk about we have to make the client happy, we have to connect with them, we have to kind of get the connections. But what if we as a photographers we don't feel it, right? Because we all humans being, we also are human
Yeah,
beings,
yeah.
and we all always kind of have this also resentment sometimes towards situations or place or person, and we have to kind of overcome this. So, well, first of all, I want to ask you, did you have that situation? And like, how did you kind of overcome this? Maybe you can share even some stories.
Of course I did. I don't think we talk enough about the situations where we fail,
Hmm.
or where we are not managing to do the thing as photographers, or when we have no sales, and all these different, because there's always going to be those situations. But we don't talk about them because it feels shameful. It's like, oh no, my client ended up buying nothing, or only bought 5 images, or however much we offer. um And yeah, I've had those too. There are times when the work that I produce is not up to the standard that I hold myself against.
But from your
Oftentimes,
perspective or from the client perspective? Because there are
the
two different
standards that I hold myself against,
okay.
because like more times that I can count, I've had very very happy clients, even though I have produced what I feel like is not good work.
Hmm.
That's one thing, but yeah, there's gonna be times where it's gonna be very difficult to connect with someone,
Hmm.
and as long as I know that my systems are working and that my methods are working and
Hmm.
that I've done everything that I can, then I can't really do much more. You cannot force someone to do your thing. You cannot force them to connect with you, so to speak. If they are not interested into going to that place, then you shouldn't force them. That is my like frame of mind. There's gonna be situations where people are just not ready for that or available for that, and you need to respect that, because you cannot push someone to do something that they don't want to do, because that's not going to do anything good. What you can do is still do good work, like work from a objectively good standpoint, like create images that are objectively good.
Hmm.
um sure, you're not going to get the soul crushing depth that you want, but you're going to get images that the client potentially will very much like.
Hmm.
um I've had clients where it's been some tough situations, and for the most of the times it has very little to do with me and how I do my work. It is everything, almost everything, to do with how they see themselves, and the fact that they're not able to get out of that mindset of self-critique, self-loathing, insecurity. There are so many situations that I can think about where people just haven't been able to see themselves in images.
Hmm.
um and that was had nothing to do with the work that I produce, but everything to do with them just not being ready.
Hmm.
And it's heartbreaking, because some of the most beautiful people that I've known, like even like objectively beautiful, like they they are often the ones being hardest on themselves, the ones who aren't able to get out of their head, and I'm not able to lead them out of their head. We cannot succeed every single time.
Hmm.
It's
But
just
do you
not
think
possible.
it's a success? Because like when we talk about it, especially I found in headshot photography, right? Like and this is kind of very very interesting point you brought up, and it's always one of the biggest struggles I think for headshot photographers is how we can get these people with those beautiful faces, beautiful personalities, that they cannot overcome, that they cannot accept who they are. And it's brutal, like
Mhm.
I've witnessed this on so many different levels with so many different people. And doesn't matter what you say, doesn't matter how you approach the shoot, what kind of even images, amazing images you are able to create for them. And you are like, I'm not saying in love with those pictures, but just like, what, those are the
Mhm.
shots which really tell how amazing, how beautiful you are. But in these people, there's this kind of, as you said, like, this kind of, there's nothing you can do to
Yeah.
make them think differently. So let me ask you, like, where this is coming from, in your opinion? It's insecurities. It's the this kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know we're going into some kind of psychology right now, but
Well, a big part of it is, first of all, I want to preface this with saying it is never your responsibility to fix someone,
mhm,
ever.
yeah,
And these people, like the clients that we do have, or the people that in front of a camera that we do have, that are that uncomfortable within themselves,
mhm,
it's not our responsibility.
yeah, but they still come to
Ever.
us, right?
Yeah,
They
they're
want
still coming to us, because they like, in my experience, the people that I've had, want they want it. They want to have that level of images. They want to feel seen. They want to have the experience. However, they might not be ready for it. and they still have, like, a lot of people have a lot of insecurities around how they look. Many women, especially around their bellies, around their like wrinkles. Um, there's a lot of ways that people see themselves and refuse to be seen by others. So their narrative is, I am ugly, I am unattractive, I am not worthy of this, I'm not comfortable. That's, I mean, we can do something about that for the most part, but sometimes we can't. Um, and it's insecurities, but it's deeper than insecurities. It's self-worth. It's not feeling like you're worthy of being seen, not accepting the way you look right now,
Mhm.
um, and holding yourself to a standard that's potentially never going to be able to be met.
Yeah.
So that's heartbreaking to me, and it's one of the reasons. So for a long time, I worked with a lot of clients who were hurting a lot. There was a period in my career where the words that I put out there attracted people who were hurt,
Mhm.
and I had a lot of clients coming to me who didn't allow themselves to be seen. And eventually, I actually took a stand and I changed my entire wording in my business because I couldn't have these people time and time again call themselves really nasty things. And it's not up to me. I had conversations with my therapist about it, things like that, and I wasn't able to hold space for that level of self-loathing. It started influencing my own mental health. And it was heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking hearing the darkness coming out, the comparative, like the comparative mindset of, oh, but I don't look perfect, or I don't look like the people in the movies or influencers or social media, whatever. I don't
Mhm.
look like that. No, no one looks like that. Unless you have a really, really big team behind you, and then you might look like that.
Mhm.
Um, but very, very few people actually look like that 24/7. And we think we hold ourselves up to a standard that we only see this much. And we hold ourselves up to that standard. And it is so damaging to how people feel about themselves, because no one can look like that 24/7. It's just not possible. Like, we all have our hair days and our skin days and our
Yeah.
I feel like shit days. So there's a certain point where we just have to face the fact that we cannot do more for that person. And
Mhm.
that's okay. Like, seriously, we are not therapists. We are not equipped to fix people's self worth and self loathing. It's
Mhm.
not our jobs,
But don't you
not
think
to that extent.
we bring something to showcase them, um, this positive side, right? Like I
Mm,
know a lot of people coming, and I know you said, like, we're not therapists, but I think in kind of one way, if we do the good job and we can bring this attractiveness, this beauty through photography, and show them, look, this is how you look, this is how attractive you are, because we're just showing them in a completely different life, right? Like, so
First of all, I'm going to interrupt you real quick
yeah, yeah, sure.
because um, I think it's really dangerous to work from the concept of attractiveness. First of all, because attractiveness is extremely subjective. Second of
Yes.
all, because so many people don't feel attractive on a conventional standard. So for me, when I work with people, the most important thing is not to make them look attractive, because I can do that any day. I can make all their wrinkles disappear. I can make them 20 pounds slimmer just in the pictures. Um, but that's not my focus. That's not my objective. Um, and I believe that we should focus more on humanity and realness and authenticity and showcasing people as they are. And of course, there's, as you can see, there is some level. Like I do some editing and I do a lot of toning. Like I tone the images a lot. But I don't try to make people look conventionally attractive.
Mhm.
I don't like modify them in that to that
Yeah.
extent. So I just really want to try to get um one of my biggest missions in life is as a photographer is try to get outside the conventional idea of beauty.
Mhm.
Because that's bullshit.
Yeah. No, no, I agree, because even like, how you describe what is attractiveness, right? Like as you said, it is very, like, for everybody it means something different, right? It's
Right.
subjective, and then what is attractive for me doesn't have to be attractive for you. Uh,
Exactly.
but the one thing what I want to actually kind of touch on is how we can make people believe in themselves, right? Don't kind of
Mhm.
tear themselves down, and just like basically destroying themselves,
Right.
because they have this kind of weird comparison, for everything what is happening on social media, and all this, like, BS what is happening there. um and I think sometimes people coming to us and they're already so damaged, or they so kind of deep into their own kind of
I wouldn't
beliefs.
say damaged. Let's not use that word.
Okay.
They're hurt.
Yeah, they're hurt. And
Yeah,
I
damaged.
mean
We're
by
not. We're
damage.
not damaged. We're hurt.
No, no, but what I mean by what was trying to say, like, they kind of like destroy their own beliefs, right? And then
Mhm.
because it's not a process overnight. I think this is kind of like very long ongoing process till get to the point that they don't believe in themselves, right? So I'm
Yeah.
not saying that they're damaged, but they damage their own image, right? And they don't believe anybody else. That's what I meant. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what I
Yes.
meant to say. Yeah. So
And
they kind of like this on this path of, because it's to start slowly, right? Like
yeah.
everything else. And then I think when they cross that line where, like, I'm not saying there's no return, because there's always is, but they've gone so far that doesn't matter what you do for them. It's really hard to make them, think otherwise, right?
Right. And if we take that level, that's the level I'm talking about. The level that we're not equipped to help. Like we don't have the education to help those people.
Yeah.
Like when you're so hurt, when you have such low thoughts about yourself, then we're not your therapist. Like we're not the person who can help you. Yeah, sure, if you manage to connect with a person that's so closed off within themselves, and you do get them to come out, and it does happen, like of course it happens, but we're talking about the people who are not allowing that connection to come in.
Mhm.
Those are not our jobs to fix. Yes, photography can have incredible abilities, but unless people allow it, we cannot change the way they feel about themselves. We cannot change the way they see themselves unless they're open to that experience. And if they're not, then you release them. Like, not necessarily saying you cannot be my client anymore, but saying, okay, I might not earn as much money on this job, or I might not earn anything at all. Just show up with compassion, and be willing to have the tough conversation, or say, okay, I'm sorry to hear that you don't feel the way about these images as I do. That's
Mhm.
okay. Because it's never a critique about you. It has nothing to do with you as a photographer. It's not about you. It's has everything to do with the person in front of you, and how they see themselves, and the fact that no matter what camera being held up to their face, they're still not going to be able to see what you see in them. Fortunately, that's the few. There are not a lot of people who are that far in that self depreciation.
Mhm.
Most people, when they do come and show up to a photographer, they are willing to be seen. They are willing to have the conversation. They are willing to be put in front of camera. And then again, like then the different types of photographers also play into mine, because my clients, the people who come to me, they are very much looking for images that showcase who they are and who they are as people, and they want to see their soul. They're not looking to be altered. They're not looking for glamour images. They're not looking for very like glitzy images. And there's nothing wrong in wanting that. It's just not the clients who come to me. And then you have the clients who do service people like who wants these things, and that's great. That's a different thing, and those people might be able to have positive impact on how they see themselves. It's I just think it's really, really dangerous for photographers to have this end all be all. I can change the way you see yourself narrative and mindset, because sure, you might in some cases, but if you don't,
Yeah. But I also
then you
think,
might sit with a very hurt person.
yeah, but I also think, photographers in general, the stuff what we do, we always have good intention. Like you don't want to
Of
destroy someone's
course.
life, right? Like we want to bring
Yeah.
best out of them, right? There's no question about it. And I don't think uh, that anyone has this kind of approach like, oh, I'm going to create something bad, like we always try to do. The question is, what kind of ability we have, right? And what kind of
Mm.
skills and then knowledge and understanding how to create those shots or images. That's the kind of limitation sometimes. But I think in general everyone trying to do their best. But I think a lot of photographers, and including myself, I remember when because I had kind of two types of stories. One, as you said, like I had sessions where I'm not happy with the results and the clients love the pictures. And sometimes I had stories where I was extremely happy with the shots and the clients were
Mm.
like, yeah, no, I don't like that. And it was just like, okay, well, like what the hell is going on here, right? It doesn't matter how much you try to convince them or try to kind of express to them, why those images they're good. But then you're hitting the wall because it's not about you. It's also about the person, how they see themselves and how
Always about that.
them. Yeah,
I
exactly.
will even say it's not about anything that you say or do or feel about those images. It's always about how they see themselves, how
Yeah,
like it's about them
yeah. But also, I
in
think
all matters.
but also like from my experience, I've noticed, and this is another kind of like lesson I've learned, of course, the hard way, that people need to also take time to absorb those images, right? Like I've seen that, like I did the shoot and the clients were like, yeah, no, they're okay. But with the time, with weeks comes by and getting this reinsurance from everybody else around them, they kind of those images, they started having even more value for them. Because like what is shocking for me sometimes, like I do the photo shoot, this headshot sessions for the clients, and they use them for like decades sometimes. I'm like, you know what, it's time to change those shots. It's time to kind of do some updates. But they no, no, no. I like the way they look, and they don't want to go back to and it's not that they don't want to go back. They just don't want to do another one. They're just scared or something. This time we're gonna capture something which they don't like. So that kind of is interesting part, how, as you said, like how they look at those shots. But also I've noticed they're like wine. The older the images they get, they have more value for them. Absolutely.
Yeah, as they should. Like we're only gonna be as young as we are right now in this very moment. Like um and I believe that we should document every moment of our life. Well, maybe not every moment, but I think I do believe that we have a tendency to hate on ourselves in this moment in time, and we look at images and we're like, oh no, my rolls are doing this and my face is doing that and everything is scrunchy and bleh. um but like in my experience, when I see an image of myself here and now, I try like I get caught in that like, oh no, everything is show I'm having I look weird, but I'm laughing. And I might be laughing with my niece, or I might be standing with my sister or something like that, and or my closest friends. So how I look in those images doesn't matter, because it's about the memory. Um and in my later years, I've I've come to the conclusion that I value the memory more than the perfection of it.
Mhm.
Um, and now I look at images of myself when I was younger in different stages, and I remember how much I hated the way I looked in those images. And now I'm like, girl, girl, darling, love, you were perfect.
Yeah,
What the fuck? Shut up. Like, don't be so hard on yourself. Um, because we change and our bodies usually grow bigger and softer, and our skin starts to wrinkle and do the things. And if we don't value where we are right now, it's going to be very it can be very depressing and very difficult to sit with, where I just like, well, just, you're okay as you are right now. You don't have to love yourself, but accept that that's the way you look.
that's it. We'll look. Okay, so let's dive a little bit deeper into this, and
Because we
I
weren't deep at all before, not at
I
all.
know we're going, deeper and deeper with all this conversation. So tell me kind of your approach to connecting with people, because that's something which I think is one of the, I'm not saying the biggest challenges for photographers, but it's very unique experience, because whenever we shooting with new person is a different type of connection. It's a
Right, because
different
it's a different human.
different human, different emotions flying through your body, flying through your mind. And I remember this specific kind of like feelings working with specific people, which was also kind of like maybe not the discovery or like for me, but was something that you can feel it. There's a different dynamics, right? And that's, I think,
Right.
what this is interesting. But this creating this connection, this bond with these people, as you said, like it's a different flow, different dynamics, different way of approaching people. But tell me your kind of recipe. Like I know based on our last conversation, you have kind of pre consultations. You try to connect prior to photo shoot. But tell me, like, even looking at those type of images from your work, which, you kind of free that person, right, on the shoot. Like, it seems like they kind of free to do whatever the hell they want. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, but it feels for me that the person really feel not only connected with you, but connected with herself, and she
Mm.
feels like kind of free on those images, and she's just like kind of going with the flow. And I
It
deeply believe.
helps she's an actress
Okay, well, but
and a dancer.
I work with actresses and actors who are really kind of like reserved, and then they're very. So I think it's not showing. Well, I know it's showing her, but I also think, and correct me if I'm wrong, you put her in that state of mind, right? That she felt free, she felt safe, she felt like, okay, you know what, I can express myself. And I think that's creating this bond between you and the person.
Mm.
Tell me about what it's, maybe not the recipe. I don't think that's the wrong word to use it. But tell me about, like, how you trying to kind of connect on that level with person. It's just kind of has to work both ways, and sometimes you feel that bond right on the spot, or you have to build it up, or it takes time. How that works in your case, because I really would like to kind of know
I
your.
mean, like the recipe we talked about before in the last one is still the strongest, with having conversations with people prior. Like, I like to have multiple conversations prior. Um, and the things that I talk about on those consultations, because it's not just about meeting up and saying, you need to wear this and we're going to do this. It's for me, that is only a smart part of a small part of a consultation. It is more than anything about asking questions about them,
Mhm.
how they would like to be photographed, what their insecurities are, something entirely different, their ambitions, their passions, their way of thinking, their spirituality, having deep conversations with them. That is what helps create create the connection, because then when they come to me, we just continue the conversation. And so we talk about life, and we talk about big things, and we talk about spirituality as we are sitting there together. And they tell me their vulnerabilities. They tell me that it's hard for them. They tell me that how they've always craved to be seen, or how they're right now on the verge of something greater. And they trust me because I have created a space of trust. Like, it's not about staged conversation. It's
Mhm.
about real and honest conversations. Like, you cannot force someone, even with a conversation, you cannot force them into trusting you. They have to decide that they want to trust you. So you have to be trustworthy for them. And that can look different from person to person. That usually does look different from person to person. So there is that certain point where, like, the session, I get the images that I know that we need. And then after that, I have them play. I
Mhm.
say, okay, I have this crazy idea. Let's do this thing. I'm really inspired by what we're doing. I would love to do this with you. Are you open to that? And people usually get really, really excited about knowing that they're inspiring, and that they're like, there's this creative atmosphere. It's like, yes, let's do it. Let's do the art. And always say, like, you might not like them, but I would just love to go there with you. And then they're like, okay, let's do this, and we do it. Um, and that's quite magical. But again, you have to create trust. That
Mhm.
is the most important thing. You cannot force someone to open up. You cannot force someone to be vulnerable, to be exposed, to be in the water. Um, you have to allow them space and time and trust. Does that
Yeah,
make sense?
absolutely. So let's talk about those water shots. As you probably
Yeah,
know, we had that conversation last time too. That
you love my water shots.
I love it because I'm really fascinated with water. Just I think everyone knows about that. Whoever's knowing me on the little bit deeper level, they know water is my like the second home, and that's why I think that the water, in my opinion, brings that kind of calmness, this kind of like different, I don't know, environment, different place. So tell me about a little bit about those shots. Like, what was your, I don't know if I can go that far, but like, what was your first kind of like a session when you decided, okay, you know what, I'm going to put that
Scroll
person on.
up
Scroll up. Okay, go up.
all the way,
Go all the way up.
all the way there. That was my first.
Okay.
Also the best, in my opinion. Um, she's not a client; she's a model,
Okay.
and I had this idea um, of this. And she brought the dress. I didn't know she was going to bring the dress. And I didn't know that her hair was going to match that color so well. Um, and I'd never met her before. This was back in the early, early days. Like, I hadn't developed my methods then.
Hmm.
So we were basically just meeting each other. We'd been speaking online, and then we were meeting each other. And she was like, yes, let's go for it. I'm like, cool. Well, she knew we were going to be in the water, but and this is a forest lake in Denmark. But it does take a certain level of trust to do these sessions. Like that has to be established really, 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 really quickly. And if someone is scared of water, it won't do. Like, you can't, like, it's for me, it's very difficult to work with people who, like, I have people who want them,
Hmm.
who wants the water session, but then they don't float very well, or they don't swim very well. They're actually a little nervous in the water. And I tell people when they hire me for these that they have to be confident and comfortable and able in the water, because that might become a very dangerous situation. So that's very big caveat. Don't work with people who can't swim. Um, just don't. Even though you're working in like knee high water, don't. It's not a good idea.
Hmm.
Um, I've always been drawn to water. Water is to me, the most incredible element. I like all elements, but water is like when I was a kid, and even now, I have always found myself by water. And one of the ways for me to like reset my brain would be to stand on a cliffside on a cold, windy day by the ocean and just let the wind like blow through my mind and remove all my thoughts, and I could just focus on the sensation of the chill. Or I would walk down by the water, in the water, and I would just have my feet planted in the water, and I would instantly feel this calm. Now I'm here and I'm grounded. It's interesting. Water grounds me.
Mhm.
Um, so I also like the symbolism of water because, yeah, you're saying calm. For
Mhm.
me, like water gives life, water takes life, water is volatile, unpredictable, but it's also the source of life. Like
Yeah.
everything is water, and I
Well, we
think
are
that
made from
mystical
water, like
aspect is
maybe
amazing.
60% or something, right? We were made of
I think
water.
we're actually 75. I'm not
75.
sure, but I think it's
Yeah,
75.
something around that numbers. Yeah. Yeah.
We are a lot of water, and we also need it.
Yes.
Remember
100%.
to hydrate, people.
Before or after shoot or during?
Always, just hydrate.
Always.
Did my video freeze up?
Yeah, it's gonna comes back, I think, in a second. It's usually
Okay,
if it's not gonna come, then we'll.
because that's a very unflattering frozen screen right there.
Yeah.
Come on, don't
Come
be a
on.
butt. Let me just double check that my. Oh no, I don't want to close this. It's because my.
Let me see.
Okay,
Uh, okay, let's
we
see
are
what
experiencing a few technical difficulties for a
was
moment.
today. Okay, let's bring it back.
I,
Oh, you're frozen
why
for
are
good.
you doing frozen for good? Okay, hold on, real quick. Be right back. There, I'm just gonna hide because I need to hide while I do this because you might get cleavage in your face, and that's always a good thing. Okay. Why did that choose to do that? Is it because my camera overheated or something? Sure.
I can hear really well, so it seems like
Well, that's because I'm very. Oh, it might be my computer. It's very warm. Okay. Are we seriously back to? Oh, there we go.
yeah,
I
but I still
see things. Ooh. Oh. Ow, for fun. I swore in Danish. Sorry about that.
there you go. You're back.
Hi. We're back.
Back in life.
That was being weird.
Well, it happens sometimes. It's life.
Quite
It's
often.
technology, right? Internet. We speak to each other from kind of opposite side of the world too. So that's also
Pretty
fun.
impressive. Like,
Yes.
how cool is that?
Yeah. That's amazing. We can do that these days, right? And you can
I
talk to
know.
people across the
I
world.
wouldn't have moved to the US if we hadn't been able to do these things.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the technology is getting better and better. That's for sure.
I just want them to invent teleportation.
Okay.
That's like my big thing. Like I would like to teleport.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you
If
go.
people ask me like if you were a superhero, what skill would you have or what power would you have? And I'm always like, let me teleport. Like I'm not gonna use it for good. I'm just gonna use it for me.
Yeah.
I just want to teleport.
Yeah. Well, that's yeah. Maybe one day, who knows, right?
Who
It
knows?
seems like they're coming up with those crazy, crazy things these days. So, maybe in
Oh,
next 5, 10 years, we're gonna be able to do that. That would be nice.
I doubt that it's 10 years. It's probably a little
No,
more. But hey,
12,
things might be able to teleport then. Like
yeah. But if you
just
look at,
people.
how the information is, kind of and all over the world, like, we can like literally talk to each other, like, I don't think there is any delay with our conversation. It's literally um,
Yeah, it's
life.
live.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's go back to our water images. I want to talk a little bit more.
More water.
So you've done this first session with this water turnout.
Hmm.
amazingly, and you've decided to, okay, I'm gonna push this. So tell me about the other ones, like how you, let's talk about how, like, you picking specific places, or you just kind of go with the flow, like how usually you play, because you've done a bunch of them, and then there's like some
Oh, and I
where
just did. Like I have a bunch in my on my computer needing to be edited.
okay.
Um yeah, I have like 4 sessions from
Oh
a
wow,
while back.
okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Um I had like a
So
water portrait special, so
oh, okay. So tell me, because you have some images which the person is on the surface, there's some images where the person is in the water.
mm.
Let's talk about those ones too, because those are the most fascinating. Like, the stuff which I'm just showing right now here.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, that is because I have an old DSLR and a watertight pouch, that like camera pouch. Um I have a 5D Mark II, and I don't think you could use that pouch with a mirrorless. And I wouldn't dare taking my brain, like my newer mirrorless, into the water. I would not like that. So I take my 5D Mark II in the water with me in a watertight pouch, and then I do that. Um, and it's hard. It's difficult, and you need someone who's able to swim and comfortable in the water and are comfortable looking peaceful in the water. And it takes some diving, and it takes you can't really see, like for this, for example, that's in a lake.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult to see what you're doing. I have swimming goggles and water shoes and all these different things, but it's hard to see what you're doing. So much of it is shooting in blind.
Oh wow, okay.
Um,
So that's
but
interesting too, right? Because you just, yeah,
you
it's
just
not like
do it.
you see exactly what you're getting. It's a little bit of challenge, and
It's
that's
fun. That's what I like about it. And I like the idea of like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, well, I do know what I'm doing, but like I like the idea of opening up and not knowing what I'm gonna get.
Mhm.
Um so that's really fun, and your hands are wet, and the pouch is difficult to maneuver things around with, and changing settings, and it's a little time consuming, and if it's cold, then yeah. And it usually does get cold. Like water sessions last a significant shorter amount of time. Most people
Okay.
can't handle more than 30 minutes in the water.
Okay. How cold is the water? So you doing them pretty much
Depends.
during the summer. Yeah.
Yeah, yes. I don't, not pretty much. I do them during the summer because like it's too cold for my clients, too cold for me. Like I am in the water with them because I
Okay.
am always I don't ask people to do something that I wouldn't do myself. So I
Mm.
always make sure to be in the water. Um Pools offer a little more flexibility in a lot of ways. I just prefer the look of lakes, honestly. Ocean is fun too, but they all have different vibes depending on what you're doing. Like
Mm.
they're very dependent on that.
Yeah. So I don't know if I told you that, but like I'm a big fan actually of swimming in like really cold water. So we have this like a glacier lakes in Canada where the water
Ooh,
is maybe, I don't know, 2, 3 degrees at the most in the like entire year. Like,
Celsius.
yeah, so people literally don't go in. But yeah, it's interesting to getting into this like really cold waters and kind of like submerge yourself and just kind of feel that cold. It's painful as hell, but
Mm.
it's also really kind of resetting your mind for sure, because your entire nervous system goes to the roof. And kind of like,
It's
when I
fun.
watch those shots, like it's that's reminding me this experience. But I'm guessing, the water is not like, probably plus 20 something degrees like in Mexico or some kind of warm place.
No.
Yeah,
No, rarely.
barely. Yeah.
Rarely the water. Well, at least in Scandinavia, it rarely is that. I will say the ones I've shot in the US are easier because they're usually warmer. Um, but most people, even though they're good swimmers and they're usually not cold in water, they
Mhm.
do become cold because you focus on another thing, and they use more energy and than they think they do. And a lot of it is lying still.
Yeah.
Um, so you can't move and become warm. So that's always a fun challenge. So you have to perform like that. And that's interesting.
That's interesting. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about your environmental shots. Like for
Sure.
example, this one
Which
uh,
one?
with the bees, right?
Oh, the beekeeper.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk
Hmm.
about that one.
I love that one.
So tell me
I
about
love
this.
all my bees. Huh?
Okay, so that's another kind of concept you really like, or that's kind of how this idea even came to you.
Well, one of my favorite things to photograph is um, artisans,
Hmm.
people who work with their hands or who do something different. So I also have a cheesemaker in there.
Okay.
Um, I have a ship boat builder there. Um, I love yeah. So the middle one is the cheesemaker.
This one.
I love creating portraits of images of people who are in that type of environment.
Yeah. Mm.
Um, with the beekeeper, the boat builder, he's in a different section. I think yeah, he should be there. But the beekeeper, I wanted to create when I bring a backdrop on set like this and use it on location, I want to create a cutout in that moment.
Mm.
I want to create calm and stillness behind the person, but still have the environment be part of it. So it's kind of this like it's a natural environment, but in order for I want the person to stand out, and he stands out because he has a lighter color behind him. He would be not as distinct if there was just like the darkness of the forest behind him.
Mhm.
So it creates another layer and another dimension, and makes you think about things. That it's a storytelling element. And yeah, I wanted to photograph a beekeeper. So I reached out to them and I photographed them. And then later I photographed, so it's a wife and husband team, and they actually like I haven't forgot their names. I would like to give them a little shout out because they make incredible candles, wax candles.
Okay.
Little BCT, so Little B Connecticut. They don't sell their honey because they only have a few hives in
Mm.
their backyard, but they create really really beautiful candles and things like that, natural candles. So they were husband and wife team, and this one was for me. I wanted to do this. I wanted to get in there and I wanted to get up close. But they later hired me to both photograph her headshots, but also photograph their daughter's graduation images, which was really
Okay.
fun.
You created some kind of connection. So this is like actually business idea, right?
Hmm.
You can
Oh
approach.
yeah, we can always talk about how to get started and how to get to know people.
Yeah.
How working for free every once in a while can actually bring you paid clients.
Yes. Yeah, that's the biggest, I think. I'm not want to say secret, but like I've experienced that on so many times. I want to photograph somebody for free, and then all of a sudden, they're like, "Oh my God, I like those shots. Let's work more," right? And that's
Yeah.
you creating this kind of business opportunity. But yeah, this stigma about working for free in photography world is like big no, but it's completely opposite. I think might lead you to some very
Yes.
interesting kind of projects and business opportunities.
Some of my biggest clients, some of my best clients, some of my most repeated clients have come from free work.
Yeah.
But you just have to know how to go about it. You can't just work for free with just anyone and expect
Yeah.
things to happen. And oftentimes, honestly, I don't anticipate it. It just kind of happens that way.
Yeah.
And I think it's because you're open to this new connection. Like the craziest one I've had is I photographed a woman, a model, singer, back when I first moved to the US. And it was just to kind of like I wasn't actually allowed to work at that point. So it's basically just to kind of keep going and keep
Mhm.
building and being creative. So that was a free session. But then she knew someone who really liked my look. And then he hired me.
Okay.
You can see that under if there's a personal branding one. I don't remember actually right now. Let's see. Go up, go up, go up. and look at portfolio. I just need to see what tabs. I never remember. Studio work. I might have to update my go on studio work and scroll down. Let's see. Anywho, they might not be there. I need to put them in there. I think I need to make like a personal branding thing. Anyway, he's a private chef. We created some of my favorite portraits ever. And one day I got a text from him and he's like, yeah, I recommended your name to so-and-so. I'm like, okay, I don't know who that is.
Mm-hmm.
But then I Googled and I was like,
Oh, wow.
oh. And it was like one of the wealthiest men in the world. And then sure enough, I got a phone call from or email from the office of said man's wife. And she hired me for their foundation. And then I was hired again to do a couple sessions with them, like couples session with them. And then later on, I did a video for them, a private video. And so this was like one of the most insane clients that I've had, not in a negative way. They were wonderful, wonderful, sweet people. I was actually like, I didn't know what to expect, but they're very, very sweet people, and they kept hiring me. And that came from a free session and just by having created a good experience for people to talk about.
Yeah. I think, whoever's listening to this and watching this, and then, because I hear from so many photographers out there, like, they struggle and whatever. And you have that, if you have that free time and then, you want to keep pushing forward, I think, and I'm saying, I don't think it's the right word, like targeting specific kind of people. It's a good way. But, if you looking to upgrade or update or, create something creative, there's always good to, go after those sessions, because I have those stories, like endless stories like that, where, you've done something for free just to kind of, get things moving. And all of a sudden, business is kind of back on the track, right? Which is fascinating.
And it always happens because you're passionate about something. Because people are not being sold to directly. And one of the most powerful ways of getting clients is through word of mouth. Because if someone tells their friend, hey, you should hire this person, that friend will listen because they already have a pre-established close relationship. So people who ask for recommendations, if they get recommendation from friends, those are very, very powerful leads. And for me, I rarely had to do a lot of work for them because my former clients have already kind of done the sale work for me, and they talk about pricing and all these different things, and I'm like, sure, do that, and I don't have to do it. But it comes from a place of passion, like first and foremost. And for example, with the beekeeper, I wanted to do that. I wanted to work with more artisans. I wanted to focus on these types of sessions as well, and I needed work for that. And it opened up a different avenue of how I work, which was really, really fun.
So were
it
they
came from a place of
open to
passion.
work with you at the beginning, or did you like face some kind of challenges to get? Because I noticed some people, they don't want to be photographed, right? Especially if those some kind of different professions. But so what was your? It seems like you work with them, so you got the kind of, you found a
Well,
way
people
to.
will sometimes say no,
Yeah.
and that's okay. They're allowed to say no. Then you just find someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, like some people say no, but don't be afraid of reaching out. Like you're never gonna win anything by not
Asking.
doing the thing and not asking. Like you never know what's gonna happen. You never know what happens if you start messaging someone on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. Not to say that you should do that unsolicited like all the time, or you can comment on someone's stories because you're inspired by them. I highly recommend that approach to inspiration and telling people, like being grateful to someone. Like one of the things that I did at some point was telling Sean Tucker that his book was amazing and that it helped me through my life at a certain point in my life. And that led to a pretty widespread video that happened a few weeks ago. So like with a lot of things in life, if you try to force something, it's usually not going to go as smooth. But if you come from a place of genuine care, curiosity, intention, you're not trying to get something out of people, then that's usually where beautiful things start happening, because it's true, it's authentic, it's real, it's not forced. And those type of connections are worth their weight in gold. Like, and they're also more fun
Yeah.
because
But
you don't
don't you
have to
think
force
also
things.
some of those things they coming to you in the right moment, right place, and right time? That's what I also have learned, that like you're asking for something and you're not getting it, and just like, what's wrong with me? Like, why this is not working? And at some point they just like, okay, now is the time. And then you get this thing, whatever it is, and then like, wow, I had to wait for that moment. I had to work for it. I have to just kind of
Mm.
be patient um with
Oftentimes because you're not ready,
yeah, that's
or like, and the approach that you're using is not necessarily the right one. And honestly, sometimes it's just sheer bad luck.
yeah.
Like, there is like, yeah, it's not always simple, and it doesn't always make sense. But I think that if we keep putting ourselves out there, then things will happen eventually. But you have to do it, because no one know you exist unless you tell them that you exist.
Yeah. Also, I think I don't know what I was going with this. You see, I kind of slipped the last moment. Um, I deeply believe that what, like, life is so unpredictable, right? And then
Yeah.
we can make plans, we can, I don't know, have some kind of ideas, the direction. But I think in our industry, and I think other ones as well, but in this kind of creative industry, I think, like, you just don't know what might happen in the next 6 months or 2 months, or like
No.
the things which might come towards to you. It's something that you just don't know, and it's fascinating, right? Like, I think that's what is the most interesting thing, that it's like I'm not saying roller coaster, but it's ups and downs, right? Like, you have this kind of shitty days, and it's like, okay, everything is going against me. And the next moment is like, you get this emails, phone call, whatever, and it's just like turning your life upside down in a positive way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, even in the US, I always felt like I was banging my head against a brick wall, like, or running full force into it, actually. And I kept doing that, in different ways, different walls. And things were, like, it was never easy for me. Like, building my business wasn't easy. It didn't come natural. It didn't come fast. It took a long while. It was not easy,
Yeah.
but um,
So can I kind of ask you something deeper? Do you think being an artist and being creative person, it's easier for them to build the business, or it's harder? Because, like,
no.
right now, I actually going,
No.
yeah,
Yeah, no, no. Being a creative sucks when it comes to building a business, because you want to do the thing that sets your heart on fire.
yeah,
But like, after I moved to Sweden, I thought this, like, I even had a period of time where I kind of like regretted it. Um, all of last year,
okay,
and then this year I decided to accept the fact that now I was here,
hmm,
and I made the decision, like, before, like, the year before, all my clients were mainly in the US, and I earned my money in the US, so I went back and forth. And then I kind of decided this year that I wasn't going to do that, mainly because for 11 years I haven't felt connected to anywhere,
okay,
and I needed roots. So I'm
hmm,
like, I wonder what it would look like if I just stayed put here for a moment. And I stayed put, and now I'm building my business, and I have the change that I've undergone in my business is pretty profound. Like, the words that I've found that describes what I do, my ethics around it, the work that I want to put out there is more creative. It is more me. It is more artistic, and I feel more aligned with my business than I ever have.
hmm,
Um, and I'm very unapologetic about how I or not unapologetic, but more uncompromising on how I'm doing my business. I will rather want to take on a part-time job than do the thing that I did last time that burned me out. So for me, that means doing standard headshots and shit like that. So that that have helped me tremendously in my creativity, honestly. But then also, it feels easier this time.
Well,
It's just kind of happening, and it's I didn't expect it to go as smoothly as it have so far, since I accepted that this is what my business is going to look like, and this is the remodeling and rebranding of my business, and then things just started rolling, and I'm like, okay, that's what alignment looks like for me.
yeah. So I have a kind of question when it comes to building business in US and building business in Europe. Do you see difference, or
Of
do you
course.
things? No, no,
Of
yeah, but like
course.
I want to kind of talk about it. What the biggest difference you see? Because I'm
All of
originally
them.
from Poland, right? So like I
Yeah.
do a little bit of business there as well. But I see culturally, it's a different approach to a lot of those things. And it's fascinating, like when you can see those two worlds, how different that is. So tell me a little more about his experience, like because it seems like well, that's the way I see it, at least here. Here is just go, 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 right? Like it's just you just pulling everything what you can. I found, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but that's my experience. But I found in Europe, in Poland especially, I found it's a little bit more calm, and it's more structured. People have a different kind of way of seeing the stuff. What do we do? But that's my experience. So what is yours?
Um, well, here in Northern Europe or in Scandinavia,
Hmm.
there is a rejection of the hustle culture. So
Hmm.
that's the biggest. Like, we don't accept hustle. Well, we do to an
Okay.
extent, of course. Work for yourself, do the thing, and
Hmm.
be successful, but also prioritize your mental health, prioritize your free time. Don't answer emails after a certain time. So it's very much the opposite of the US, where it's
Oh
like
wow.
hustle, 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 money, 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 money. Um, and here it's it's less about that because there's a safety net. Like, if not so much for me,
Hmm.
I don't have that. But for most people here, there's a safety net. So if they fail at a thing, then they're gonna be picked back up, and that helps the stress of it because they're not gonna be out. Like, let's say they get seriously ill, they're not gonna shell out a lot of money for getting treatment, and it's okay that they don't work right now and all
Or
this,
when
and
or go bankrupt, right?
or go bankrupt, exactly, lose their house, lose their anything like that. Like, I
Yeah.
believe in Denmark, for example, you cannot like, there's certain things where you cannot, like, take things away from people just like that.
Hmm.
There's more to it, and of course there are exceptions and all these different things aren't always perfect. People still get dropped, but in the majority, this is the culture. There's more of it's calmer, slower,
Yeah.
more connected. um and then, of course, there's the money and the money mindset. That's also very, very different. In, like, one of the things that a lot of people who follow American business photography educators
Hmm.
have a hard time with is the fact that they say that the business model one to one can be transferred, when it's not as simple as that. For example, currency being a very, very important thing. Like, I cannot charge the prices that I charged in the US, or I can, but I probably won't get clients.
Hmm.
Simply because there is something that no one ever talks about, in these the people who say that you can transfer and charge the exact same numbers in the US as in Europe. You don't take account the exchange rate.
Hmm.
The way of life, the purchasing power.
Hmm.
Um, these things are going to have an influence on what you can charge. Like, I need to charge way less here than I do in the US, or did in the US, in order to survive. Um, and thrive, for that matter. I'm still in the high end of what people charge. But I just don't need as much. So
Hmm.
I'm not going to charge the same rate as I do in the US. Um, yeah, there's a lot of differences.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole thing about how people see themselves and how they want to be photographed. And a lot of people don't want to be photographed here. Like,
Hmm.
they don't have images on the wall. Like, most people here might have their children's pictures on the wall, but
Yourselves,
we
yeah.
don't have prints and things like that. So
Hmm.
which is one of the reasons why I shifted over from doing, or not shifted, but like now it's an add-on. I do digital collections, and that's what most people want. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna force prints down their throat. That's a
Yeah.
waste. It's
Oh,
unsustainable from a environmental perspective as well.
yeah. Like in Calgary, most of those, like, printing places which specialize it in, printing for photographers, they're out of business. It's just fascinating. Well, it's not fascinating, but
It's
it's
not fascinating. It's
but it
heartbreaking.
but the culture changes, right? Like, we all have
Mm,
things on, phones and on our computers, and we actually, I don't know, consume images different way nowadays,
we
right?
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
still something to be said about prints. Like, there's no question about that. I love an album. I
Mhm.
probably wouldn't hang a portrait of myself on the wall. I'm working. Well, that's not true. I have a portrait right over there. It's my friend who painted it of me.
Okay.
That'll hang on my wall. Um, but I might do a very artistic portrait and hang it on the wall, but not just like a picture of myself. And most people I know, even in the US, feel the same way.
Yeah.
So for me, it's albums. I love albums.
Hmm.
And we use it in my family. I've bought my parents have the good album, and then my my nieces have the albums that can be greasy and things like that.
Hmm.
And then they just look through, and I've accumulated images from my family's past, so like my great grandparents, and I've digitized those images and I put them in the album so they can see where they're coming from. And I think that's powerful. But the way, like, the amount of images that we need is for these things might be different. So I think there's room for both. It's just times changes, and we have to take that into account. And like, I've had clients, like in the beginning, when I did this business model that I did in the US, IPS, in-person sales, I still do that.
Hmm.
Um, but then the whole spiel of it was that oh, the images were like, the prints were just part of it. Like, you couldn't buy the digitals without also getting the prints, and the price wouldn't be less if you just wanted the digitals.
Yeah.
And that, to me, eventually started feeling really wrong, because multiple of my clients came back to me and said, I want to do this session again, but can we please not do the print, because they're just collecting dust.
Yeah.
So there was an ethical part of it that I also had to like think about. First of all, shoving things down people's throat, never make them think fondly about you,
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
Um, and then there was the other aspect of it, that's environment, sustainability,
Mm.
creating beautiful artwork, printed artwork that just sits on the shelf and people don't value. That's a waste. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, sure, you can, like, the same with like the reveal wall, where people might only purchase some of the prints and the rest is just going to get tossed. I'm like, that's a waste. Let's not put more consumption out in the world and throw things out, because it's unsustainable. And so for me, what I've done instead is I've said, okay, my collections are digital, but then you can upgrade for the same price no matter which collection you purchase. It's going to be the same price to upgrade for an album. or we can talk about wall art. And so that by then it becomes a conscious choice. I'm
Yeah.
okay if they don't buy it. My prices are still set. There's plenty of value in what I offer. I just don't hook my value on the physical product.
Yeah.
Though I love to see it. I
Yeah.
love creating it. But I
But
want to create it for a client that loves it as well.
yes, and this was always for me the biggest struggle. What I do, and like as I mentioned, I started as a wedding photographer, so like I shot weddings for decade almost. Um, but I remember I was attending some of those business courses and business seminars, how to sell more, and
Mm.
there's some photographers could sell anything, right? Like they shot the wedding and they were selling albums, prints, mini books, big books, small books for family, for friends. Like there's just endless amount. And they're doing pretty good. Like the wedding was just the kind of starting point for them to like really sell it, like outsell it everything what they could. And they've been using all these tricks, right? Like, oh, you get the small resolution files, and then if you want to buy, I don't like. There's always this kind of game they're playing, and I struggle with this like big time, And it's like I'm kind of like a same approach as you, where like I like people to enjoy what I do in my work, but
Mm.
like shoving stuff into their throat, so they can spend more money on me. That was my biggest struggle. And like sometimes we have to pay the bills, we have to all this like do this stuff to make a living and stuff. But that was the biggest challenge for me, to force people. And some people are good at it, some people struggle with that. It depends. But yeah, this is something that I think was really pushed in US. Like
Yeah,
it's all about the sales, the money.
the
So
upsale.
yeah, upsales and all this stuff. So there's one thing what you said which really kind of hit me, and I want to kind of explore this just a little bit.
Mm.
uh, so you said about in Scandinavia, like if you, let's say, fall out a little bit, or I don't know, you like, do you have some issues, like health issues or
Hmm.
whatever, you always have that safety net, right?
Mostly,
Well,
yeah.
here, it's a little bit different. Like it's do or die, right? Like sometimes the way I see it, there's no kind of like mercy. If you screw up, there's nobody's going to pick you up and kind of help you. It's like you're on your own. So do you think that photographers sometimes they're forced, or the situation kind of like kind of pushes them to they have to focus on the business side more than actually the photography? And do you think photographers would be more creative if they would know, like, okay, what, I have a safety net, I can try or test it or risk some of those things to kind of I don't know, follow the passion and do be more creative and do things which allows me to I don't know, express myself a little bit more and do like some risky work sometimes, rather than just focus strictly on things which just makes money because there's no other option. Because I
Well,
think I think that every photographer is kind of creative on its own, right? But the question is how far we can push that, because I like even in my work sometimes I see people like to see different things, and some unique stuff
mm,
or some kind of like ideas or concepts which are not typical. But at the same time, like nobody would hire you to do that, right? Like nobody would pay you to like do some of those sessions and this creative work,
I will
even though
argue that depends on how you market yourself and who
yeah,
you market yourself to. Because I honest, so one of the things that did happen while I lived in the US, I also became a rather keen business person. I'm a bad business person because I run my business with my emotion, but I'm also a keen business person when it comes to the knowledge around it. Um, and I'm I can be rather no nonsense when it comes to business talks.
mhm,
Um, no matter where you are in the world, being self-employed is fucking difficult.
mhm.
And the level of difficulty
Can you repeat
just
that?
do you need me to repeat that? um What
For
the heck did
those
I
people
say?
who think it's easy, like,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
It's not
glad you
easy,
said that.
no matter where you do that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
no
And I'm
matter where
glad you
you are in the
said
world,
that because you
being a business
expressed the way
person
the
is
really
fucking
the
difficult. It's really, really hard, no matter where you are. And there are different levels of hard, and there are different challenges in each country that you're gonna face. Um, does it help that you're not gonna get bankrupt when you're like if you get sick? Sure, that does help. That's really lovely, but I still need to put food on the table.
Mhm,
So no, there in on that level, there is no difference. Like,
mhm,
you still have to put food on the table, you still have to be a business person, you still have to do the things that get you money, unless you choose not to,
mhm.
unless you choose just to be either part-time professional or just have fun with it, and that's okay.
Yeah,
We don't always have to take our hobbies and make them into our businesses.
yeah.
That's something really, really, really important, and we're losing the love of the hobby because of monetization. So I would love, um, like, one of the things that I always encourage people to do is ask themselves, do you really want to do this? Because you might lose your passion for photography. There's a really big chance that you're gonna lose the love of photography.
Mhm,
It happens to a lot of people, and if you don't know how to get it back, or you don't have another hobby that you can like focus on outside of photography, so you can kind of like unwind and do the thing. For me, it's painting or sewing or baking.
mhm.
um if you don't have that, you might, most likely you will burn out. It's okay to have a part-time job. It's okay. You don't have to have a full-time business. There's it's not a failure if you don't have a full-time business, especially if it means that you can do more of the things that you love to do, such
Mhm.
as creating art. I think we need more art. um if you want to be a business person, if you want to be full-time, then you have to be a business person about it. Like, even in my like rebranding, in my the transformation of my business, the burning down of the business, what it used to look like, even in all of that, the rejection of how I used to do things, I am still building a business first and foremost. Sure, it is entirely built on my emotions and
Mhm.
I might be a little uncompromising about what I do and why I do it.
So do you think emotions, they helping you or they making this whole thing more difficult?
Oh, it's definitely making things more difficult. Are you kidding me? If I could just turn off my emotions, then I would be a much better business person. I would
Yeah.
be able to market myself better. I'd be able to get better sales. I would not be afraid of pricing myself at a certain point because I could do the things that people want to do. Like, my work is not for the majority.
Mhm.
For me, that's okay. I'm very, very comfortable about having work that isn't for everyone.
Yeah. But you know what? Can I interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
Because this is something which, again, like it's fascinating. And I don't know, at least for me, the way I kind of look at it. Because from one hand, we getting hired by these people so we can connect with them, we can work with them on this kind of like a spiritual level. We try to put them in the best light, create something emotional, something deep, right? And then like after the photo shoot, like you have to just cut this whole thing off, right? And like, okay, now we're going to do the business and how much I can sell. And that's the something I have like really hard, because like you, at least for me, you treating these people like, I'm not saying they're part of your life, but you
They are.
connect with them on the, yeah, well, I agree, but like what I'm
For that
trying to say
moment in
is,
time, they're part of your
yeah,
life, and they might be one of the most important
yes,
part of your
and
life
then you
just for that
connecting,
moment.
and if you're connecting with them on a very emotional level, right? And then, as you said, and then, I agree with you exactly. If I could just turn off my emotions, I would be way better. I could do way better business. But
But
then
you can't.
like, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. How you can separate this stuff, because that's the biggest struggle, like sometimes for a lot of photographers, and including myself, that I
Right.
cannot, like, from one hand you just connecting with them on this emotional level, and then you have to just switch this off. Okay, how much I can sell to you. And I'm not saying the selling is a bad thing, right? Like, I don't
No,
want.
no, no, it's not. Like, we're business people. We need like, we live off of this. We need
Yeah,
to earn an income.
yeah.
So here's the thing. A lot of that has to do with shame, I
Hmm.
think, around money and charging for it. That's on you to untangle within yourself. Are you feeling shameful around this, and why are you feeling shameful? Because there is nothing shameful about making a living.
No, no,
Like,
no.
there
I
is, it is
agree.
not shameful, but many people feel like it is, especially when we are creatives, because it's like, oh, I'm an artist, I'm not supposed to live of it, I'm not supposed to earn good money. It's like, yes, you are.
Mhm.
You are
No,
just as
no.
deserving like the other person of making an income. So that's one aspect of it. But you don't have to detach the two things. Honestly, I will argue that you shouldn't detach those two things.
Mhm.
The conversations that you have prior to the session are not just important for connection, it's also about setting boundaries and managing expectations. So the very first conversation I have with a client is, what can they expect to spend? Because they always want to know. And I
Mhm.
tell them, and I go through my prices. And then at their consultation, I sit with them either on Zoom or in person. I have the pricing in front of them, and I go through it with them, saying the numbers out loud. And I joke and I say, okay, now we need to get to the boring part. Um, and then we have this conversation around pricing, and they chuckle and they're like, yeah, I know we have to talk about this. I'm like, yeah, I know, but we're just managing expectations here. And you say those words, I'm just managing expectations. And then
Mhm.
one of the biggest changes, the shifts that I did was, which collection are you most attracted to? And when people, like, when you ask that, which collection are you most attracted to, then people will tell me how much they're willing to spend up front.
Mhm.
Oftentimes they exceed that amount. At least that's how it is in the US. I'm still figuring out how it is here.
Mhm.
Um, so they will tell you what you can expect from them. You just have to ask,
Yeah, 100%.
which is hard.
And I think
Huh?
being open, that's another thing, which is in my case very, very works really, really well. That
Hmm?
they know exactly what to expect. They know the prices, and there's no
Yeah.
surprise, right? And there's no
It means
situation
by the
where,
time you are showing them their images and they have to make a choice,
yeah,
you're not
they know.
selling to them. You're done selling. You've done that early on. So you've done both the connection and the selling, and you just gotta keep connecting. And they might tell you, hey, I'm really insecure about this. I can't afford this right now. And then, okay, that's fine. I can set up a payment plan for you. Would that work? Like, sure. Or, okay, what are you able to spend right now? Have those conversations. It's I think a lot of the insecurity around these things happens because we're afraid to ask questions and we're afraid to have the tough conversations.
Yeah,
But we need to have those conversations.
yeah,
They're important, managing expectations, because if you haven't done that properly, you might sit with a client at your reveal session or whatnot who have a sticker shock suddenly. And like,
yeah,
I didn't expect to spend that much. I didn't know about these prices. I'm like, yes, you did. I
yeah,
told you about them. And I've sent you 3 or 4 emails with the
yeah,
price list, and we've gone over it in person. Yes, you knew.
yeah.
Um, so it's really, really important that we just have these conversations. It's way easier to have the conversations than handling the outcome if we fail at it.
Mhm. Yeah, 100%. Okay, so we're supposed to chat for an hour today again, and we are 1 hour and a half.
Whoops.
Oops, yeah. But but again, it was great conversation. I think we have to do part three in the next several months, I guess. We just
Sure.
again stop in the
But
moment.
I'm happy to have more business conversations as well,
Yes,
because they're
yeah,
fun.
absolutely.
They're
They're
really
fun.
fun.
They're really
I'm
fun.
also happy to talk about AI if you ever want to hear my opinions about that.
Yeah, we talked a little bit last time about
Did
AI,
we?
and I
I
didn't
don't
want.
even remember.
No, okay, we did just a little bit. Yeah, we
Maybe
touched
just slightly.
just a few things. Yeah. I going to well, going to AI. It seems like I'm not gonna try to stay away from this topic, but amount of backlash I'm getting even just for discussing those things, it's insane. So it's kind of interesting how this whole thing works. I don't know why people getting so triggered by this topic, and then kind of I know, and
Oh,
business is part
it
of it.
makes sense.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just it's just
yeah,
hard. Like
hard.
people are
Yeah,
afraid of their jobs in the future and art,
yeah.
and
And again,
it makes
comes down to the
perfect sense.
business, right? It comes down to the
Yeah.
business because
But I
I
just believe that the more things become computerized, the more human we have to be.
yes,
Like the more
mhm,
artificial things become, we just go in the other end. We just
yeah,
focus on connection. We're just focusing on coming from a place of service because and the experience because
yeah,
you cannot like we're not going to lose our job as photographers unless we do something generic
yeah,
that can be replicated, but you cannot replicate the experience.
yes,
How you make people feel.
yeah.
So that's how
Well,
you
so
set yourself apart.
yeah. So I think from one hand, and I agree with you 100%, the more there will be push of AI and all this artificial images and all this, things which they're not real, they're fake.
Mhm.
Our jobs and our industry could kind of see another kind of renaissance because people are gonna like, well, I want a reality. I don't want to feel fake.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel unreal. I don't want to feel that something is kind of, fake. I want to something real. So it depends how we're gonna approach this, but I think it's gonna be a
Yeah.
room of both, right? Depends what you
We're
like,
going to
but
find balance as well. Like
yeah,
it's a tool.
it's a tool.
It just
Absolutely.
is a matter of how people use it. And the more we refuse, we did it again. Okay, that's because of the battery. Yes, let's stop right here because that's a pretty yeah, let's stop that right here.
Okay, so I don't know.
That's
Your
pretty.
battery is dead on your.
My battery is entirely dead. Yeah, it
Oh,
happened.
so let's kind of finish here. That was fantastic conversation. Thank you so much, and let's hopefully plan it in the next several months, another one, and then yeah, we'll continue our conversation. There you go.
That
You're
sounds
back.
good. Yeah, different angle, different
Different
light,
angle.
different
That's good.
quality.
Yeah, you have like a wide angle. That looks good.
And now it's my laptop.
It's your laptop. You see,
It's
it
just my
works.
laptop.
It works. Perfect, Stella. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that was pleasure chatting with you. I really enjoy those conversations, and the fact we can jump all over the place and talk about like literally anything what is related to photography. It's really pretty cool.
It is definitely.
Awesome. Okay, let's keep in touch. Thank you so much, and everyone who was watching and stayed that long and go for that entire conversation. Thank you for joining. That was again something
Impressive.
impressive. And yeah, I
Impressive
love.
that you stayed.
Yes. Well, I think someone is just trying to. I don't know. There's a questions or anything. Let's see.
Ooh, you
Uh,
should probably check that.
yeah, there
Let's
is
see.
some thank yous
There's a
from.
question. Oh God,
Yes. There's
we
no
can answer
question.
those
There's
questions.
just there is just appreciation.
Aw, I love that. I
Perfect.
love the appreciation.
Okay, so we're gonna check out. Have a fantastic day, and everyone who was watching, thank you for joining. That was truly pleasure having everybody, and thank you to my special guest. That was awesome. Thank you so much.
Have a good one.